at 3:34. So call to order. So I'm going to start with my right, starting with CC Grant. So just state your name in the mic.
Hi.
Put the mic down. There you go.
Hi, I'm CC Grant.
Mark Teague.
Leo Suarez.
Latanya Williams.
Linda Davis.
Christian Daniels.
Nardra Johnson.
Johnny Thomas.
We'll skip down here. So anybody want to approve the January minutes?
I second it.
What's she second? Somebody has to.
All right, I move to approve the minutes, January's minutes.
Second.
All in motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, the ayes have it. Any revisions or additions to the agenda? David?
Do want to just announce we do have our new member here today, Miss CC Grant. If you wanted to give her an opportunity to introduce herself real quick.
Sure. So, Ms. Grant, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell a little bit, talking to the mic. There you go.
Hi, everyone. I guess it's pretty obvious I'm new, right? Hi, everyone. I'm CC Grant. I just got appointed to the RTA board by Councilmember Patton. I have been a transit nerd for about the past 15 years. I used to work for the U.S. Department of Transportation, reporting to Secretary Raleigh Hood. I wrote the first round of Tiger grants way back then, and also the first round of high-speed rail grants. Spent 3 years working for Congress as a transportation staffer, where I was responsible for securing something like $500 million in federal funds for transportation projects across Southeast Michigan. And I'm really excited to be here with y'all.
We love transportation nerds, so welcome to the community.
Thank you.
All your knowledge will be absorbed and appreciated. Let's see. All right, so we'll do public comments at 4. Next up, RTA advisory. So I'm gonna start to my right. Has anybody have any advocacy opportunities that they have or have coming up? So Mark, did you have any?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing from me.
Okay. I had one in, when is this? This is February. So I had one at end of January, early February. So the South CAC is coming back. They still reviving, so I did talk about them with Go Raleigh to potential changes that's coming, especially in that area. So that's ongoing advocacy. But that's all I have right now.
I have none.
Nothing at this time.
Nothing at this time.
Well, I was appointed to the governor's committee for Stronger North Carolina. And I'm on the planning. I'm going to the planning academy, which I think is very interesting because we talked a lot about this last night too. So I guess I'm still doing a lot in the community that I'm happy about.
I'm happy that you're happy, so that's good.
I would like to say next Thursday at 9 a.m. is our next TPAC meeting. I think everybody's aware that's the governing body for the Wake Transit Plan and all the different municipalities and stakeholders in that process. So if anybody had the opportunity to come in person over in Cary at 9 a.m. or there's a link provided in the weekly update that'll be coming out tomorrow. You can watch it. No, you're not able to comment if you're watching it virtually, but you can at least see it.
Okay. Thank you, David. Next Thursday. 19th. All right. Any staff action items? Okay. All right. BRT update, heads.
All right. Good afternoon, board and board members. Het Patel, Transportation Transit. I will be providing an update to the BRT program. Bear with me if the screen goes out. The council chambers recently has been tricky with technology, and there's a cable that is loose, and so every now and then the screen does go out. So just want to apologize in advance if that does happen during the presentation, and I'll take a pause in that event. And majority of the time, the screen comes back on its own, and we won't have to do anything, and we'll keep moving forward. So again, I'm here to provide an update on the BRT program and our agenda for today. I do have an announcement that I want to make. It's exciting. I actually had to probably fight David on this to make this announcement because David made the initial hire. But we'll get into the projects after the announcement. And the announcement we want to make is that Melanie Roush on the BRT team as senior planner has been promoted to the transit planning manager. So that was the role that I was formerly in. And she's stepped into that role as of this week. And she will be leading the BRT team. I'm excited for her and the opportunity. And you'll hear from her today. She'll do the tail end of the presentation. And again, just happy for her and the opportunities that she has moving forward to continue to lead the BRT projects and then continue to deliver capital infrastructure improvements in the Wake County area.
Congratulations, Melanie.
So certainly we always like to start our presentations with an overview of the program. We have 4 key bus rapid transit corridors that the City of Raleigh is a project sponsor for at the moment, with some key additional corridors that are being studied by the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. So those are the dash lines on the western end from RTP to Cary, and on the southern end from Garner to Clayton that are currently being studied as operational projects. The dash lines on the northern corridor, Midtown, Raleigh, and to Triangle Town Center. Again, Melanie's going to cover that at the end of the presentation about where we're at with the Northern Corridor project. So I want to focus on the front end of this presentation on my remarks on New Bern Avenue and on the Western Corridor. New Bern Avenue is 5.4 miles coming out of downtown Raleigh, eastward towards New Hope Road, connecting to the Walmart out at the edge at New Hope Road, and the East Raleigh Park and Ride location that we have. 10 new stations planned for the project, 7 60-foot articulated buses, and then signal priority at signalized intersections. Again, this board has gotten a lot of presentations related to some of the construction challenges that we had on New Bern Avenue in terms of getting bids and getting contractor interest in starting to get the project going from a construction perspective. We had to break the project up into various packages to make the risks, reduce the risk and minimize those impacts and get the favorable bids or competitive bids to start the project. And I'm happy to announce today that we do have construction starting on the corridor along New Bern Avenue for package 1, which is that horizontal roadway work that was happening in downtown. That construction contractor has been awarded a notice to proceed as of February 2nd. They have begun their initial warning signs, message board setup, some survey controls. They are starting to work out at East Street towards Swain Street. They're going to start setting up some lane closures as well as marking out some of the first part of the work, which will be the new water and sewer infrastructure that needs to go in along the New Bern Avenue corridor. That initial saw cutting of pavement is anticipated, not in that week of February 9th. We're there already, and that hasn't happened, but I am told that is going to move into next week. So sometime in the week of February 16th, that initial cut in the pavement will be made. And again, that is a exciting stage of the project for us. We've been trying to move this project forward for a long time, and I'm happy to announce that will be happening soon, and we'll start to see more activity in the coming months. And our engineering services, which manages the project now from a construction perspective, will continue to update our website. There will be a box that kind of highlights what's happening in the next couple weeks, what's happening in the next few months, and so we're continuing to communicate the activity for that package of construction. As you were aware, Package 2 was awarded for construction in October of 2025. We are still currently working on executing that contract and giving notice to proceed for that contractor. So that is still anticipated sometime this spring, and construction between Pool Road out towards Wake Med will start sometime this summer.
What's preventing that from being executed?
So one of the challenges on that one has been towards the end of last year, there was a interim rule change to the DBE requirements that was made by the federal government. And we have standard contracting language that has DBE goals and some DBE work identified. And so this fell from a contract award perspective after that interim rule was made. And so we had to make some changes to our contract language, so that's currently under review, and as soon as that's ready, we will be executing that contract.
Thank you.
So the other corridor I was going to cover before turning it over to Melanie is the Western Corridor. Western Corridor is one of our longer corridors in the program, 12 miles with 7.5 miles of dedicated bus lanes, 18 new stations. The other gray stations within downtown that are identified on that map would be constructed as part of New Bern and Southern Corridor, since they're further ahead from an implementation perspective. And then the Western Corridor would have 10 new buses needed because it's a longer corridor to try to provide that 10-minute service at peak hours. And then we'll also have signalized priority at signalized intersections. And by the time we get to implementation of the Western Corridor, we will start to look to try to diversify our bus rapid transit fleet from compressed natural gas to electric based on what the technology is at that point for those 60-foot articulated vehicles. The current status of the Western Corridor is we are approaching 30% designs. Right now, the 30% designs by the final design team have been submitted for internal City of Raleigh departmental reviews, as well as Town of Cary's reviews, and we're working through that coordination. There's the screen. So we're working through that coordination. As we get comments from the Town of Cary and our internal departments, the final design team is working on addressing those comments. And once they've addressed those comments, we'll be ready to submit the 30% design to NCDOT for their review. So that'll be the big milestone for that project upcoming, where when we get to NCDOT submittals is when we'll do the public open houses for the 30% design milestone and try to share the current design assumptions for the 30% with the general public. I do want to highlight on the timeline side, and again, I think last time I presented, we mentioned this. The project was submitted to the Federal Transit Administration under their capital investment grant for ratings in November of 2025. It did receive the medium-high rating for the project, which means it is eligible for federal funding. The next steps for that project really are, from a federal funding perspective, is actually have an allocation or an award made by the president's budget through the next budget cycle. And they also track where your project is from an implementation perspective, and then they do work with you to try to get funding aligned for when you actually need it. And so sometimes projects wait in that process a couple years. The Chapel Hill North-South BRT project did have to do that because they weren't farther along, but they were most recently awarded the ask that they had as well, so they're moving forward in their project. And for us, again, I mentioned the NCDOT coordination and the Town of Cary coordination this spring is critical to getting to the 30% designs and having public open houses in the summer to fall of this year. And then that anticipated 60% design milestone is by the end of 2027. I do want to caveat that last bullet, the construction funding, again, that is really dependent on when federal funding becomes available and when we can actually get a grant executed to move into the next stage of the process. It is good for our projects that we have local funding on the Wake Transit Plan side to continue to front our design costs to get to final design and have the project ready to get to construction while we wait for some of the federal funding to align. And at this point, I will turn it over to Melanie to speak through Southern and Northern corridors. And I'll be happy to answer questions along with Melanie at the end.
Thank you, Head, for that announcement. I feel like the equipment here is a little newer than last time I presented. Okay, well, with that, thank you again for the announcement. Happy to be here. Happy to still be working with everybody. And I will say I am Melanie Rausch, Transit Planning Manager for the BRT team. Still new saying that. Okay, so Southern Corridor, let's get right to it. Southern Corridor is sort of a replacement of Route 7, not really, but that is the general area in which the Southern Corridor will be. For this project, we're looking at a dedicated running way of 3.8 miles of the 5 miles of that corridor spans. Enhanced stations, that'll be 9 new stations, and this project connects Raleigh to Garner with specialized, the articulated vehicles that we all know and love, and we've seen out there on Route 1, as well as TSP implementation to help keep that moving significantly faster than existing service out there today. So where are we on Southern? Southern design status, we just went through the engagement for our 30% design milestone in November. So I believe that was maybe November 3rd and November 17th, if I'm remembering my dates correctly. We had 2 open houses with a total of 66 attendees. The first open house was downtown at the City of Raleigh Museum. The second open house was further south on the corridor at the Peach Road Community Center. We did find higher attendance at the Peach Road Community Center event, which is unfortunately in a smaller room than the first event. So that was really, really successful, and we had a lot of great feedback there. So where are we in design, right? We got all that resident feedback, the community feedback from those events. We are now working through incorporating that information into the 30% design milestone. And we are currently still in the review process of 30% design with NCDOT. So that kind of takes a while. It's a big, complicated project, so that's where we are in the design phase. We'll hopefully be looking to begin 60% later in the spring. And as you can see in this timeline, we're hoping to complete 60% at the end of this year, and hoping for at the end of this year is also when we will have our risk review with the FTA. That is where we sort of go over the design and identify where, it's literally as it sounds, you identify those risks in the project. I see CC nodding, she knows. So we'll go through that process end of 2026. We're hoping for an executed federal grant agreement in spring of 2027. Once we have that, we can start really looking at right-of-way acquisition, utility, kind of conflict resolution, relocating whatever has to go into there to shore up the corridor for construction, and then hoping to start construction around 2028. So that's where we are with Southern. Okay. And then the Northern Corridor, definitely still in the planning phase with the Northern Corridor, unlike the others. Just a reminder, Northern Corridor has been identified to potentially split into 2 projects. We'll go over a little bit more of that on the next slide. But it is currently under the Major Investment Study Planning Study. We do have a draft of that document that we are internally reviewing right now. But its ultimate purpose is kind of connecting downtown Raleigh to Midtown, as well as downtown Raleigh to Triangle Town Center, which are kind of 2 distinct goals, right? The timeline that we have had is summer 2022, we began that planning study. Fall 2022, we went through that fatal flaw analysis, which is really where, there's a lot of valuable input that goes into fatal flaw, and you realize, okay, this is what we can't do, and this is why. Summer 2024, we had refinement and screening of various alternatives. Fall 2025, we did the detailed screening of alternatives. And now we're kind of in between that fall 2025 and spring 2026 step where we're finalizing a draft of a final recommendation. And then we will move towards selection of the locally preferred alternative, which in layman's terms is the ultimate route alignment that we will pursue for those corridors. Okay, so you might be like, okay, we just talked a lot about routes and we didn't see anything. So Midtown Raleigh, we are investigating currently 3 alignments. They are shown in the screen here. 2 have made it to detailed screening, or 2 were initially, proposed in the detailed screening. That is number 1 and number 5. 1 is Atlantic Avenue and then turning onto Six Forks Road at the Six Forks Atlantic intersection. And then the second one is taking Wake Forest Road all the way up to St. Albans, turning onto St. Albans, and then heading west towards Midtown. And then, as a part of this is the beauty of a study like a major investment study, we identified, well, what if we kind of like look at merging the two together into a hybrid of both routes? And that is number 6 that you see here, where we initially take Atlantic Avenue outbound, and then we kind of jog on Six Forks, get on Wake Forest Road, and then turn onto St. Albans. And anybody who's familiar with this area probably is also very familiar with this movement, right? Because we've all done it before. So those are the 3 routes we are evaluating and that you'll see kind of included in this final report. Triangle Town Center is the second goal that we want to evaluate and determine a route alignment for. We are looking at number 2 and number 3 on the map to the right. Number 2, that is primarily taking the Atlantic Avenue corridor, jogging over at New Hope Church Road onto Capitol Boulevard. And number 3 is just staying on that Capitol Boulevard alignment all the way out of downtown, very similar to Route 3, or number 3 is basically what Route 1 does today. So the final report, that draft is under review by us. And keep an eye out because we will most likely, we are planning to bring that to Route Committee in April of 2026.
I was going to ask.
I'm one step ahead.
You always are.
So you should be seeing that in April of 2026, and then we'll plan to bring that to council pretty much right after that Route Committee meeting, so that council can lay eyes on it as well. And then we're hoping for an endorsement of the locally preferred alternatives for each corridor in summer of 2026. And then we're kind of off to the races at that point. And so the next step will be design, advertising, and RFQ for the design of the northern corridor. Yeah. So any questions there?
I have one. Can you go back to the
Yes.
2 slides back? Yes,
Yes.
this one. So is this going to be bilateral or one direction on the Midtown map?
On St. Albans, you mean?
Either or, either St. Albans, number 1 or number 6.
So I would say too soon to know.
Okay.
I mean, we will have bidirectional service. Would we have bidirectional bus-only lanes? TBD. That'll come later in the design process.
Reason I asked that because I was like, well, knowing this area so well, I'm not sure how far St. Albans ends on Six Forks, but maybe do like a circle. So if we take option 1,
Loop
turn right on St. Albans and come back down Albans, Wake Forest, down to
Oh,
Atlantic.
like do a loop? So that is currently what our 24L does. And there is positives and negatives to looping service. And one of them is that what if you want to go east on Six Forks Road? You can't do that. So that's something we hear complaints about already with our existing service that,
Well, you would eventually be able to go east. Just got to loop all the way up.
excuse me?
You would eventually be going east.
Eventually, yes. It would take a long time, though. So just something to think about. And if we want to dive into that further in Route Committee, we can absolutely do that and talk about just the various route types.
Okay, that'd be great. I was just curious, like, what was the direction?
Yes.
All right, that's all I had. Yes.
I saw the timeline for New Bern, package 1 and 2. I didn't see the timeline for package 3.
So we have not advertised package 3 yet. We are still getting that package together, and then hopefully also kind of waiting on some of those federal requirements to get worked out before we advertise that.
And full disclosure, I live at New Hope, so I'll be nosy. Okay.
So you'll be writing, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay.
Go ahead.
The northern quarter, as far as Capitol Boulevard, as far as the investment, traffic moves pretty good already on Capitol Boulevard. So, I'm curious of why the thoughts of staying on Capitol all the way, because all we're doing is, dedicating a lane. And I think it's going to be very hard and difficult to control in that area. And I think it may be more impactful to look at the other routes. That's just my comment.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of this report, right? This report really weighs some of those options. It weighs what do we think the projected ridership is going to be at these various alignments? What is the ridership currently? What are the potential, land use potential out in these areas? So we can go over all of that in route committee a little bit more. But there is between that is a trade-off that you mentioned, right? Atlantic Avenue is a City of Raleigh road versus Capitol Boulevard is a high volume NCDOT road. So definitely something we're going to have to work through in the design process. But the results of the MIS final draft will kind of help us make that decision.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the northern corridor, have you guys taken into account like current or potential zoning, like TOD, and how that could play a role against one route or the other for the alternatives?
Yes. So, yes, that kind of what I just said, right? What speaks to that? What are the potential land uses in the future? Do we think single-family residential isn't necessarily ripe for redevelopment anytime soon, as we all know, versus maybe industrial that hasn't been you've got some vacant warehouses in certain areas of town that might be much more ripe for redevelopment. We will have more similar to what we've been doing with the southern corridor and the western corridor, we will have some level of a station area planning initiative to identify TOD possibilities, but that'll definitely be part of our very early design process of where are we identifying station locations. Do we think that this area does have the potential for further dense development? That'll be top of all of our minds because that's how we get more ridership, right? And that's what we all want.
Linda? Chris?
I was just going to piggyback on what you said, so thank you.
Michelle? Yeah. Okay. Oh, one last thing. Is the DBE rule going to be applied to all corridors? Do we know?
I'll defer to Head on that.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a DBE goal that the city has. The change that came at the end of last year, and all federal projects have to have a DBE process. The change that came last year was how the DBEs are certified, and so NCDOT manages that process for DBEs that are certified in our area and what qualifies. And so that process has to play out before we can relook at how an involvement of DBE is looked at it within our projects. So there was a rule and kind of guidance set out for existing projects that were prior to the rule, projects that were in the middle stages of executing contracts, and then projects that are being advertised post it. And so we're following the rules that have been put out there now, the guidance from USDOT that's been put out there now, and we're tracking closely as to how those changes impact our future projects. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The time is now 4:02. Are there any public comments? No? All right. Okay, we'll proceed to the committee reports. First up, that'll be Route. Me. All right. So speaking of capital projects, so there's been a couple of projects. I don't know if we have a presentation on those. Okay, we'll talk about that. So there are, I want to say it's 4, but I thought I wrote down 3. But it's about several projects that's pending and coming up. So one of them we know about is the East Raleigh Park and Ride, which is basically going to be a BRT corridor, but it's going to be located, if you're familiar with the area, off of New Hope Road and New Bern Avenue behind the CVS. So that's going to be a park and ride area, as well as the transit center. But the park and ride area will have 100 parking spaces, 12 EV stations. That design is at 100%. The bid is went out, but I think that's as of the last route meeting.
The bid has not been released due to the DBE language
Right.
that we're talking about. We've got several contracts or RFPs that are basically on hold until we get that new language written.
Okay. But it was awarded, right? It wasn't awarded yet?
No, we have not bid that project out.
Okay.
The design is complete and we're ready to
80.
bid, but we got to get that new language first.
That is correct. Okay, thank you. Anticipated cost for the construction is 1.25 million, but that is coming out of the Wake Transit Plan. No, 1.7 million, sorry. But construction probably will take a year, almost a year and a half. The next part of that is also on hold, which is also the transit center, which design will still be on hold as well. So that's one of the projects. The other project is the Go Raleigh admin building, where they'll be adding additional offices to the location off of Pool Road. The other thing is off of Pool and New Hope. Yes, Pool and New Hope. If you're familiar with the area, Go Access and Wake Access will be moving to that lot. The design is complete, looks great. What else with that? I think that's about it. We'll send if people want to see the presentation of the design of that, we do have that, but we don't have that today. David, did you want to?
Yeah, the expansion at the current fixed route facility is right at 100% design. We're getting all the bid documents ready for that and going through the permitting processes. But again, we'll have to have that DBE language ready to be inserted into that construction bid before we can actually release that. So we think we're 2 or 3 months out on even being ready to have the documents fully ready on that one. But that design is just about complete, and it's additional administrative office space and 3 additional bays in the maintenance facility to support the BRT fleet, the 60-foot articulated buses. The ADA center, new operations and maintenance facility, is at 30% design today. So we got a little bit more work to do on that one, but we're hoping to have that one at about 100% design at the end of this year.
Yeah.
For the park and ride, you said the duration was a year?
It's at 1.25, so almost a year and a half, potentially.
What are the existing conditions of that space where the building's going, or of the parking lot?
It's mostly grass. There are a couple of wells that will have to be remediated as part of the process. There is an existing facility on it that's going to have to be demoed. We were being conservative with the timeline of a little over a year. It may well get built quicker. It just depends on how all the other work goes.
What size is that structure that's currently there?
It's more like a surface lot and just empty, basically. If you're familiar with DMV and Hammocks, it's the lot right next to that.
Yeah, it's a fairly old metal building. It was a garage of sorts.
And a
Was
bread
it
shop.
what was it? A pet shop?
Bread shop.
Bread shop, okay. I mean, over 8 months sounds a bit juvenile. I mean, we're talking about clearing a lot, or remediating, clearing a lot, and then paving and electrical. You can build a tower in about 24 months.
It's just an estimate that was provided by the design team.
Okay, thank you.
I guess it's better to be over than under, so. But yes, I agree. What else? Let's see. We cover ADA. Next up, ADA announcement. So we had a resident to come in to express their concerns about as the bus is approaching, they're not able to hear this which bus is approaching, and I know staff has looked into that, is working with Rep. Dev about that to, I think within 60 days, we're gonna study the situation and make sure all the buses are up to par, to make sure the sound and the verbiage is out there and it's being clear as the bus is approaching what bus that is. Yeah. Did I cover that, David? Okay. The transit app metrics. So this time we talked about, right now there was 6,950 users are using the transit app. There was 783 downloads as of, say, not last month, was it January, I believe it was. But looking at the reports, we're going to use these metrics for, there's like 4 key concerns: safety and cleanliness of that, and those 2 other questions, but it all revolved around safety and cleanliness as, for the riders and the experience. So we're going to do this quarterly as well as the other matrix, roll that all into one to examine like which routes maybe have more concerns for certain riders. So that's one of the reviews. And last up for the March service changes, as we know, there are 4 coming about, actually 3, announced March 22nd. I think that's the rollout date for the new 14, which would be the Atlantic Avenue. The 2, which is the Falls and News, will run every 15 minutes. The 17, which is the Rock Quarry, which will run every 30 minutes. And that's it. Are there any questions? All right, finance and policy.
Okay, Finance and Policy met this past week, and we had a few things. Section 5310, Program Management Update. Ms. Tierra Hobley presented to us, or raised it yet again. We've heard a lot about that, and it's still, the public comment period closes next week. And so after that, we will review and bring it to the full board. Then we talked about the policy reviews, and we've discussed it here in the full authority a couple of times, both the stroller policy and the skateboard policy. And we have gone round and round about that, and there have been several meetings discussing final language, and hopefully by April we'll have final language that our committee can review and then bring to full board. And another thing we talked about was the bylaws. So we have feedback from the city attorney for the bylaws that we had worked on last year, and they also have given us a template for how they want all the boards and commissions and authorities in Raleigh to present their bylaws. So we're in the process of adapting what we passed last year to the right format, and I think it's somewhat straightforward. We have to just go over that a little bit more at our next meeting, and then we'll be bringing it forth for full board approval, probably again April, maybe March, but probably April. And that was it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, marketing.
All right, so marketing met last week, and let's start with the annual campaign. So we have had to pivot a bit on some of our plans this year. Basically, the influencer campaign has been put on hold. We've got about halfway through the year, and due to some concerns over contracts, some intellectual property rights, funding, and possible conflict of interests, there's just some things being reviewed around that. Fortunately, staff came up with something to pivot us to a new campaign with WRAL's Mark Roberts, and we're going to be doing some 15 to 30-second commercials, including working with them to kind of target those who don't regularly use public transit and just kind of, get the word out. So I'll be interested to hear more about this if we can throughout the year, but that's pretty much the plan for until, through June. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that in marketing. We also had a good discussion about, how we target those that we're calling transit curious, those who are on the edge of, who are not using transit or not using it very, very much, and who are just need that extra nudge to kind of get them through there. So had a good discussion with staff and what they do to kind of, their outreach and engagement. And some of this you guys know about with their events and ride-alongs and, of course, the social media and all of that stuff. Connections really do mean a lot. We kind of jumped on the ride-along idea. Those actually probably go more unnoticed than you think, because they are just, when you outreach to certain groups, whether it's some senior group or some youth group or whoever, it's kind of, seems like a low-hanging fruit, because we just ride a bus like that's currently running. No special accommodations have to be needed, just a little planning and, get out there. I know there was one done last year downtown with the DRA as well. So those are ongoing. Marketing campaigns are ongoing. Try Transit Week, like a New Year, New Commute. Hopefully you all have seen those in the past, as well as other outreach efforts around, engaging students and seniors, like I said. And across all the events, that kind of hits that group. So we also thought about how can we maybe translate that into some of our ad spend, and maybe UMO, which I'm getting into the next point, the UMO app, does it have capabilities to give us any insights? I think the short answer is no, because the accounts are very, phone or email creates an account, and it just kind of works from there. It doesn't give us the insights that we would need to target anyone that's on there. We were thinking about, like, has anyone set up UMO but isn't even using it? Could there be be some accounts that we can nudge them that way? And then we wrapped up. I guess that's it. Any questions?
For the WRL commercials, are they going to be, aired on social media, or is it just television?
We will be using them on our social media.
Free or the paid side?
Both.
Okay. Okay, cool. And for the new Route 14, do you know when that's going to start advertising
We're
or?
pushing it Monday.
Monday? Oh,
Yes. That will be the beginning of all of our new service that we're rolling out. So we're going to do press, a manager's update, and then start our social, everything on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are any questions, Mark?
The UMO revenue, I'm looking at it, and it's really not growing. I mean, it's basically the same as last year. I'm looking at it right now, and it's basically down 3%. And with the increased ridership, why are we not growing the UMO? Any thoughts?
Well, the ridership through the UMO app is growing, primarily through the Transit Assistance Pass program that we have, which is free to those persons that are eligible for it. So there's a tremendous amount of usage of the UMO app, just not paid usage.
Oh, okay. So they're using the UMO app with the TAP program? Yes. Okay. I didn't realize. Thank you.
Even if they have a swipe card, it's still being registered through the UMO system.
Okay. Do we pay a transaction fee?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, next up, the general manager's report.
Hello,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Let's see. So you have this information already in your packet. I did want to highlight that in December, we had more missed trips than we've had probably any other month last year, with there being well over 300. So we dug into it a little bit. Some of it was operator shortage, but most of it primarily was around vacation time taken and some planned call-outs for some various events. So we've been tracking and looking at it, and in January, we had 31 missed trips, and thus far in February, we have 8. In terms of our operator headcount, today we have 255. We have 8 in training. We just did a recent, completed the run bid for March 22nd, and we determined that we are going to need 265? No, yeah. No,
Total?
that sounds wrong. 275 total.
Total.
And that includes actual pieces of work and any vacation coverage or extra board positions that we have. So those are the main things. The on-time performance, we are continuing to work on that. I did get the information from the route committee that you would like for us to start participating in that meeting. So we will have members of the operations team to start attending those meetings so that we can go through the route information. We've also are working closer with the planners, and we continue to work with our operators. You guys see we aggressively hire new people every single month. So we are focused during the training on trying to get those operators trained specifically on the runs that they will be assigned to, but that does become problematic if they ever become extra board operators. So we're just trying to balance hiring new people with making sure that they're properly trained on all of the routes. We have begun the ADA announcement campaign. We've inspected, I think, to date, 70 buses. There are a few that we've replaced some hardware speakers, but I'll have a detailed report. It should be completed by next month.
Okay, thank you.
And then our PM completion time is almost at 100%. We were short-staffed on maintenance and mechanics. We have recently hired 2 new mechanics, so we're in a good position in terms of our mechanic staffing. And we no longer use any outside vendors to help us with the repairs. Questions for me?
Yes. So with the BRT coming online, so number 15, how do we communicate with the passengers that there may be time constraints because of the construction?
We know that during the construction period, there's going to be some stops that have to be closed temporarily. In those areas where we can, we're relocating them a block or 2, away. Before that move takes place, we'll be posting signage on those stops just to give the people awareness that, next week when they come out, this stop may be boarded up with barricades, and they'll have to walk it a couple blocks either east or west to get to the nearest stop.
Will it be communicated actually on the bus itself? Would that be a possibility? Just for delays to let them know that
Potentially,
prepared.
we could look into doing something that would be like there's PSA announcements that the driver can automatically key in, and I'm not sure if there's one specifically for that, but we could look into having one added that the driver could, if he knows he's going to be delayed due to some of the construction, he can make that announcement.
Thank you.
And probably during that construction period, put a little footnote, because you won't be on time.
Okay.
So I can't penalize you for construction,
All right.
Be proactive.
Fair enough.
Let them know.
especially for Atlantic Avenue. Still a little shaky over there.
It is already.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
For the Go Raleigh Access. So of course, cancellation, no shows have been steady for both. Missed trips, we have that the taxi missed trips for the month was 213. For the van, it was 1. On-time performance between the two, we had on-time performance, taxis ran at 89.5%, the vans ran at 91.1% in the month of December. And just to conclude, so that you all are aware, they have added an additional 12 new taxi vendor companies were added to the service as well to help service the Go Raleigh Access program. And those vendors have been through orientation, and they actually have started running as of January, I want to say the 12th.
Do you know if we used them before, prior to the technology enhancement that we rolled out?
How we use those companies? No, ma'am. These are all new. So every 6 months, they actually add in new companies. So we have, out of the new companies that was added, there are 3 that was actually drivers for other companies. The other 9 are actually all new to the program. But they did go through the same extensive ADA training, orientation, and everything prior to being set up, as well as the software and everything else.
Okay. Thank you.
I got to ride with Margaret today on Go Raleigh van service. I'm starting to get to the point that my regular driver cannot accommodate all the trips that I'm having to make. I was very pleased. It was very concerning because of Hargett Street being closed.
Yes.
And she worked with me and made sure that I was getting in here. As far as that slide on the missed trips, I would recommend that either be eliminated because it's very distorting.
Yes.
Because the taxi vendors deliver 25,000 trips and the van's 3,000. So it's kind of a misrepresentation unless you show a percentage. So that's only my only recommendation. As far as I have nothing else to say about Go Raleigh Access. It is wonderful. I'm looking forward to, Sean had told me that he's going to work with me and download the app so that we can start looking at the tracking device. So I really appreciate that. And kudos to Go Raleigh Access.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or?
No. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Authority members, okay. You said the safety report will be out in April, do you know?
Yeah, we're hoping to be able to present that in April. It's still in a draft mode at this point. We're doing and I'll talk about this a little bit later, the retreat next month, so we won't be doing a lot because you'll probably be really tired at the end of the day when we have our hopefully very brief meeting. So we'll hopefully be able to bring that to you in April.
Okay. Just a reminder that the retreat is March 12th.
Yep. One month from today.
Yes.
At Walnut Creek.
Oh, I was going to say location will be announced coming soon.
Yeah, Walnut Creek Wetland Center.
Okay.
We've met there multiple times in the past. Unfortunately, it was not available to us last year, but we did get it early enough this year to get it booked. So we'll be sending out some additional information on that, but we'll probably start around 9:30, have some light snacks and coffee, and then get started with the meeting, 9:45-ish, and hopefully wrap up in time to have a quick meeting starting at 3:30 and close it out.
Okay, thank you. So before I close it out, I'm gonna go around the table. Ms. Cece, I know this is your first meeting, but you have any questions? No. All right. Mark?
No.
No, I don't.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Not at this time.
All right. So I didn't want to start the meeting heavy, so I'm going to end it kind of heavy. I just want to say you guys are valuable. Your knowledge is valuable. You are important at this table. Okay. So many may not be aware, but there's a member who is not here today. He passed over the weekend, and so we will have a moment of silence, but he was passionate about having transit being visible or available at the Garner VA once it becomes available. So it's my mission to make sure that stays a part of his mission, and I'm challenging you guys to remind me, because I'm getting a little old, I may forget. Mark does keep me informed to remind me of trigger some things. I'm asking you guys to do the same thing. So in honor of Byron Leaks, I just ask if we can have a moment of silence and thank him for his service. Thank you. And at that, I will end the meeting.